Rainy Friday night in San Francisco. There's so many other things I could be doing. And there's absolutely nowhere I'd rather be than right here. You know, I did my own book launch Monday of last week, and it was me and my book. And you know, I've never heard of a book launch where someone launches their book by asking a lot of other people to come and read. And if there's anybody that's going to do something unusual like that, of course it's going to be Zarina. And before I start reading anything, I do remember, you know, I read some of this fictional, non-fictional memoir at the Rumpus Room, and that's when I first met Zarina. She wrote to me afterwards. The funny thing is, it was an email, but somehow I hear her voice saying, the memoir, that part was about hitchhiking across America when I was 19. And so she wrote to me and said, and somehow I hear her voice, she said, yes, it reminded me of hitchhiking across Russia when I was a teenager. And I'm like, really? Wow. So then she came to my workshop and she read stuff, and right away we were just blown away. So I am so happy now, a year later or whatever it is, to be here, and she's published her book, and I look forward to just to buying it, because I've read the stories and they're blisteringly great. So now I do wish I had brought my reading glasses, but I'm going to try to read this little short story here, which is nonfiction. Or is it? Slice of pie. Not too long ago, I wanted a slice of fresh homemade pie from a mom and pop diner, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. Someone told me, you can't find that in the city, boy. You go to a small town, that's where you'll find the real America. So I jumped in my car, and I headed east till the city died out and the suburbs thinned away, and I came to a small town. Yes, a prosperous little place by the looks of it, with clean streets and buildings made of chrome and glass. I checked into a Motel 6, one of 12 budget accommodations, products from Accor, a global hospitality corporation. From the front, it looked like any ordinary motel anywhere. But in back, I found people working on junker cars outside their rooms and saw wash hanging from the windows. I was heading toward my room when an overweight black woman in a shapeless house dress came out of one of the rooms. Do you have a car? She pleaded. I admitted reluctantly that I did, wondering how a person without a car could be staying at a motel. Could you give me a daughter-in-law a ride home? She's not feeling well. I'll pay you. A ride home? Where's home? Not far, just the other side of the freeway, sir. The Travis Inn. Well, all right, I said, but I felt aggressively panhandled. I didn't really want to give anyone a ride anywhere, and I refused the $2 the mother-in-law tried to press into my hands. The daughter-in-law was a pasty-faced white woman in her early 30s. She came out of the motel with a cell phone pressed to her ear, and when she slid into my car, she filled that close space with a smell of stale nicotine. She spared me just enough of her attention to say, go. Then said into the phone, no, I was just talking to the driver. Go where? Travis Inn, it's on Travis, you'll see it. Where's Travis? I'm not from around here. Just a sec, hon. The woman covered up the phone and gave me some directions, but she was irritated that I needed any. As soon as she had finished telling me where to go, she returned to her phone call and stayed on it until I had delivered her to the motel she was calling home. The whole arrangement puzzled me at the time, but later I learned that I was the only traveler at the Motel 6 and one of the few at any of the motels around there. Most of the guests in most of the motels around here were locals. They were the working poor who could never save up enough money for first and last and a cleaning deposit, but brought home just enough each day to buy one more night at a Motel 6 if they were lucky, or the Travis Inn if they were less so. That night I went out and tried to put a little money into the local economy, but I couldn't do it. This little town of Fairfield had nothing but chain restaurants and a mile-long mall filled with every brand name you've ever heard of, from TJ Maxx to Applebee's, eating good in the neighborhood. All the infrastructure radiated first world power, but all the shoppers had a third world feel to them. They were the teenage kids of the local working poor, sporting gangsta fashions from Fall Into the Gap. Clearly, every dollar I spent in Fairfield would go directly to some distant corporate office, a portion of which would then be allocated back as wages for the help who were working the cash registers. Now let me pop you 6,000 miles east to a covered bazaar in Peshawar, Pakistan, where I happened to find myself a short time after I went looking for a slice of pie in Fairfield, California. This market in Peshawar had about 1,000 shops under its one rambling roof, none of them much bigger than a walk-in closet. I was there to buy a suit of clothes. It took me half an hour to reach the tailor, working my way into the... hang on a second, I think I have the next page. Working my way into the labyrinth, and when I got there, the thought struck me that any money I gave the tailor would change hands 50 times before it left the area covered by that one roof. Then I got thirsty and asked for a drink, and the tailor's son brought me a can of Coca-Cola. And when I looked at that can of Coca-Cola, I saw the seeds of the Peshawar Mall, which will someday be indistinguishable from the Fairfield Mall. And in the end, isn't that the complaint really out there beyond our borders? The whole world is becoming America, but most of the world's people won't share in the really good American things. They'll get the Gap jeans and the cell phones, can you hear me now? And the fried chicken, but their government will be some military junta interlinked with the country's richest businessmen who are themselves mere functionaries in a global corporate network. The people will be atomized into millions of individual voters who will each get a 100 millionth of a say in which of two members of a ruling junta will get the top job. The atomized workers will be surrounded by a penumbra of the half-employed and unemployed, all having unlimited access to unlimited free TV, on which to watch advertisements for products they can never buy and pleasures they can never know, so that their animal cravings will keep them panting after jobs that will pay them just enough to keep them only inches above homelessness and buy them one more night in the nearest cheap motel, where the beer ads on TV will promote the democracy of commerce, inviting viewers to elect the president of beers, the candidates being Miller Gold and Miller Lite. Me, I'm still looking for that slice of real homemade pie. Thank you.